Ready to go, Isaac?
Yeah. Ready to go.
What's going on?
Welcome. Good evening. Beautiful evening in Johannesburg. This is the 8th candle of Hanukkah, so I want to wish you a Chag Sameach. And hope you enjoyed the latkes, the donuts. It's been a wonderful week in Johannesburg. It's actually such a pleasure. The traffic, you can just sail through. It's the weather. Well, it rained this afternoon, but we needed it because we had such a heat. Now we have in the studio this evening two very special guests. One has been here quite a few times, and that's Les Glassman, and we have Glassman from the HOD, but I'll introduce you later, and so will Les as well. So welcome, Les. It's nice to have you back.
Thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure. Now, just to start off as usual, with those unfortunately passed away during the week, there was Davida Raft, Frieda Damlin, Eileen Fraser-Sidursky, Malcolm Schmidt, Xander Diamond, Ruben Cohen, Kerna Matilda Kramer, Milton Stanley Rosmarin, Sidney Doohan, Judy Malamet, Linda Rochelle Rosenberg, Larry Steinhook, Fred Monty Bevan, Roma Factor, and Hilton Parisiva. We wish all the families claim to have been requiem, and may they have no further sorrow. On a very, very happy note, I attended the Brit Milah this morning of the twin, one's son and the girl were born to Kevin and Kelly Lutheran. Kevin and Kelly Lutheran. Kevin is the son of Milton and Shelley Lutheran, and the grandparents, of course, Milton and Beryl Lutheran. The other, the daughter Kelly, Jeff and Leslie Fine, very well known in the community. And the great-grandparents is Julie Lazarus and Nita Seligman. And as I said, they had Kelly had twins, a girl and a boy. The girl's name is Maya Shelley, and the boy is called after Eliyahu Yoma. So I want to wish them Fuka or Maasim Toivi, everything of the best. Now, as I said, we have in the studio this evening, we've got Les Glassman, and Les is going to give us an update what's happening in Israel, and then Les will introduce Glassman, and we're going to have a general discussion of what's going on in the community. Welcome, Les.
Thanks, Isaac. More somber note, my late mother-in-law,
She passed away.
Yes, it was last week. So many of our listeners, especially those who are in Save Environment, will know my mother-in-law, Hester Shorts, is in Shkiach there. So it's been a bit of a very difficult last 2 weeks for us. But the strokes are hot, please God, save sinkers and good news.
You know, Leslie, sorry to interrupt, you know where I heard about it from? You know who's visiting from Toronto, Canada, Thornhill? You remember Daryl Kruger?
So Daryl was a very good friend, a very close friend of mine. When I went to visit my mom-in-law in Toronto over Yom Kippur and Sukkot, I spent a lot of Sukkot with Daryl and Ingrid and their family in Thornhill, and with Colin Silver and his family, and seeing so many South Africans, both in Asia Torah and at the Bayit, it was really very special. So marvelous community, phenomenal community. This was before the Shabbos project. And what struck me and my wife recently incredibly is when we drove down in Bathurst, we saw a massive billboard for the Shabbos project. Massive billboard there. And even going in Montreal, there were all signs about the Shabbos project. So it's a very, very proud and wonderful community.
When I spoke to Daryl, we were talking about the old days of B'nai Akiva, remember?
Yeah.
In Yeovil, upstairs in the Federation of Synagogues building, which was the most vibrant minyan, I think, in the whole of South Africa. It was unbelievable. And we recalled and we spoke about all the former, people who were there, like, for example, Ian Friedman now in Israel, and Manfred Maroc.
Yeah, and I saw 2 weeks before I came to Israel, his wife and his daughter came as patients. So we're in touch with many of those kibbutz from B'nai Kibbutz. It's a unique, special kibbutz.
And Manfred Maroc, they tell me his daughter's getting married.
That's right. Manfred and Killy, he also in touch with them. And so many people from that very, very special community. It's phenomenal. You bump into people that you used to see, and we've kept the connection, a very close connection with that special community.
Right. Now, let's get back to what I want to wish you and your family all long life as well.
Thank you so much.
Right. So, let's talk of what's happening now in Israel.
Okay, so
Give us an update.
coming from Israel, the last few weeks, as I'm sure all our listeners out there know, it's been a very difficult time. What was very upsetting for us is we heard the news of a young 26-year-old girl, Dalia Lepris, Shalom, that
Yes.
she was standing in Bush Etzion, she's from Tekoa. Her mother, I don't know if you know, was Brenda Dat, is Brenda Dat, and the father was Norman Lepris. I know them very well, and my brother and I, Jackie and I, went to Tekoa to the Mobile at the Shiva House on Motzei Shabbos. And there were so many South Africans coming to visit. And what struck us amazing is when we spoke to the parents, they told us of Tanzan phoning, of Rosenblum, of Franklin, and people from all friends and family phoning from all over the world to give them comfort. But we were so emotional when they told us that our chief rabbi, Rabbi Goldstein, phoned on Friday morning. He said, I don't know you personally, but I just want to tell you that I'm sharing your pain.
They're originally from Emmarentia, the Lemkes family.
That's right. And what was incredible is we see the active, we see the total people coming together, the uniting of it wasn't just, it was a reunion in sadness, but also you actually feel, I'm Israel, I went to Israel and feel the closeness. We all felt the pain and we all shared in the tremendous loss and their suffering. And just being there and helping them, just coming there on the Motzei Shabbos and seeing so many people from all walks of life, just to help the family. And then Isaac, I'll tell you, my niece got married a week later.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. And that night, it was
Is that Jackie's?
Jackie's daughter. And it was a wonderful wedding. My daughter came from South Africa, my mom, family was there, it was wonderful, it was really such a beautiful simcha. Unfortunately, the next morning we heard the tremendous, terrible news about the massacre that happened in Haifa. And again, you shudder to think who are the people that we heard who were killed and killed and injured, and then the names start coming out. Now that night I was at a Shiva Brachot, and a very close friend of mine SMS'd me and she said, that the one rabbi that was killed is a close friend of mine, the late Avram Goldberg. And his daughter was actually at Jackie's daughter's wedding the night before. A few hours before, she came all the way to Beit Shemesh to celebrate in the Chasana, and a few hours later, her whole life was totally changed and destroyed. So what was so sad is when we also went to visit the family, and we just see people coming from all over, all walks of life, also coming to share in the tremendous loss. It was the late Avram Goldberg, Zikron Lebracha, all living in Agassi Street, and the shul was the late Torah. It was 6:30 million people came to Dublin, and there were two Arab terrorists that came into the shul with hatchets and butcher knives, and they did unspeakable things. The other great rabbis were Rabbi Tversky and Rabbi Levine and Rabbi Kapitsky. And it's amazing that Rabbi Kapitsky was a person that could have ran away, that he stood and he fought and he saved so many lives.
Rabbi Tversky, by the way, is the grandson of the late Rabbi Soloveitchik.
Yes, that's right. It's these are four tzedakим, four very great, very righteous Yidden that unfortunately were taken away from us. And the whole country without exception, felt tremendous pain and suffering and loss. What's amazing is what happened afterwards. When I went to the Menachem to the house, the Shiva house, and we got in Shakrit and Yinkamari, people started telling us incredible stories about people that, I don't know if you remember May Emmanuel, the taxi just did not arrive on time, so he didn't go to the dinner. There's so many miracles that happened as well. So Cyril Green's daughter. You remember
Yes, the comedian.
The comedian. So her name's Donnelly. She's a patient of mine. And I phoned her because she lives in Hanau. Many friends and family live in Hanau. And she does events planning. That night she forgot a key. So she asked her husband to wait up for her. Subsequently, he woke up a little bit late. So that morning, he wasn't on time, so he went upstairs. Otherwise, he would have been in that venue. That's what they did. Then there was Etty Shuren. She was our receptionist. She's related to the Alta family. That's cousin Avron Alta
yes.
and Rocky Denby. Her daughter was giving birth on the Tuesday, the day that it happened. And her two son-in-laws were sleeping in her home. And she goes for a walk at about 6:20 every day. But she noticed that her son-in-laws hadn't woken up, and she didn't want to wake them up. So she went for her walk, and she actually saw the two murderers before they committed their crime.
Can I just read an SMS we just received? Hi, Mr. Resnick, you and your guest. I want to thank you so very much for the excellent show. Please keep up the good work and please accept my most sincere compliments. On the topic of today's discussion, may Hashem grant Israel and the Jewish people a year of peace and prosperity in 2015. Bezrat Hashem, may there be no more missile attacks or terror attacks as we had in 2014. Keep well, Yosef. Thank you, Yosef. That's a lovely message.
Isaac, I'll tell you, this is something that happened that I could not believe it was true. A patient told me that there was a cousin, somebody was going to get married on that Tuesday night. And he was sleeping at his grandmother, and the alarm did not go off that morning. And his grandmother forgot to wake him up, or didn't want to wake him up. Subsequently, when the news broke out, his Kala, she fainted because she knew that he had been at the year. And thank God he wasn't. And that night they actually got married. It's a miracle beyond all miracles that his grand just felt he needed to sleep and didn't wake him up to go to the union, and his alarm clock didn't go off.
You know, there's another thing that happened to me we should also take note of. There was that Druze Arab.
That's right.
Who was doing traffic duty. He wasn't really involved, in police duty or anything like that. But he happened to hear the shooting, and he ran into the shul. Of course, he was killed as well.
He was killed, and I'll tell you what happened. There's a Rebbetzin Sternberg, the Sternberg family, that organized buses to go to the Druze village. And there were hundreds of from Yidden and non-from Yidden, everybody who went to pay their last respects. Not only that, whoever donated money for the families, they donated equally, and they've included this hero, this Druze hero who sacrificed his life in order to save other human beings without hesitation. It's just the most amazing and remarkable story. People donated the ambulance in the name of the Rabbanim and the Druze police who actually unfortunately he was killed as well, but his name appears as well, and people have donated the equal amount of money to each family goes to the Druze family as well.
Right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a few moments. Now, we're going to ask Les to introduce you, and then you're going to come on, just to change the subject.
And then Isaac, everyone will speak a lot, and in the middle, after, I'll speak about HOD in Jerusalem, but only after everyone's started.
Yeah, okay, now, I want to change the topic.
But I think it was important that I mentioned this. It was,
yes, you were there. That story about the crossing.
That's unbelievable.
And that he got married that night.
That
Can you
really
imagine?
did. That's
God
a true
forbid.
story.
Ready? Yes, Isaac?
Welcome back, 18 minutes past 6. Talk of the town. You'll have in the studio, we have in the studio with us today Les Glassman and Avron Glassman. And I'm going to ask Les, of course everybody knows Les, he's been on the show quite a few times, from Israel, to introduce his guest. Over to you, Les.
Okay, it gives me great privilege and honor to introduce Avron Glassman, a dear friend of mine. Everyone's a very dedicated, very loyal member of the HOD, and his current position is Deputy President of the South African Governing Lodge. from the term from 2013 to 2015, further on. He's the Grand Treasurer, the Grand Executive. He's been in that position from the year 2007 until the present, and for many more years to come. And he's the immediate past president of the Dr. Herzl Lodge from last year. Now, everyone will elaborate on his tremendous achievements that he has done through the years. And I just want to mention that Avron accompanied the Grand President to the Israel Lodge installations in 2012 and 2014. In 2012, if I'm not mistaken, we were in the Jewish America. And we met at the train station as well. So Avron and I, we had a very close connection, a very lovely, close connection. Then Avron also went on to the United Kingdom, and he attended the lodge installations also in 2012 and 2013, and went to North America, to the States, and also attended the consecration in 2014 in Atlanta and Dallas. Hand over to our esteemed guest.
Thank you very much, Les, for that introduction. I don't think I can even do justice to your kind words. To Isaac, thank you for hosting me here. It's a tremendous privilege to be involved with the Hebrew Order of David. I'm not sure if all the listeners are aware that the Hebrew Order of David this year celebrated 110 years since the establishment in 1904. The Hebrew Order of David has been doing such great community work over the years in terms of giving to charities, not only Jewish charities but also non-Jewish charities. They also, what I believe, is a unique brotherhood. I do not believe there is a Jewish brotherhood anywhere in the world that is like the Hebrew Order of David. I was very privileged this year to actually go to North America, and who would have believed that we established a lodge in Dallas, Texas. I thought of Dallas, Texas just of Cowboys of J.R. Ewing, the episode that we had in the 1980s, but in fact it was a problem because we have open lodge meetings. We have meetings every month, and in fact we had to change the date of the day of the meeting, which is normally a Monday or a Tuesday of the month, and we changed it because our brethren were coming to meetings. So opening the lodge in Dallas was incredible, and today we've got 6 lodges on the North American continent. We've got 4 lodges in Atlanta, we've got a lodge in Boca Raton, we've got a lodge in Dallas, and then we've got a lodge in Canada. So it's incredible. So we're growing in leaps and bounds in North America, and in the United Kingdom we've got 4 lodges. In Israel, which Les is part of the Jerusalem Lodge, Lishkat Ir David, and we've got Lodge Moledet, which is based in Manana. And then back home in South Africa, we've got 8 active lodges. 4 lodges in Johannesburg, and then 4 lodges by the coast, mainly in Durban, Port Elizabeth, East London, and Cape Town. And I think this year is also a very important milestone in that the Dr. Herzl Lodge is the mother lodge. We all of it started 110 years ago.
Can I just interrupt? I'm going to ask a question to our listeners. You mentioned Dr. Herzl Lodge. There's another very famous Jewish person who lived in the same street as Herzl. If you know who he is, because he changed the whole history of the world. Herzl did, you know. If you know the name of that very famous person, they never met. Yet they lived opposite each other. SMS 34519. This very famous person, who also international, changed a lot in the world, lived in the same street as Herzl, but they never met. And he issued a famous statement. So, if you do know, SMS 34519. And then you mentioned you're 110 years old, so I can mention that the founders were, there was Mr. Fager, remember?
Correct.
Fager, and one other one, there were 2 of them. Do you know the other?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to spoil your fun.
No, you can mention that.
Okay, so it was Louis Distiller.
Louis Distiller and Fager, they started the lodge. But it was based on the Freemason lodge originally, and then they changed the name. But I want the answer to the question of Herzl, because it's going to, I think, yes, I've got the answers from Mashi Lipska, Sigmund Freud. Now, what would have happened If Herzl would have gone to Freud and said, I have a dream, and what was his dream? That there'd be a Jewish state in 50 years. Can you believe that? They lived opposite each other, and they never ever lived. There's another SMS that said, Albert Einstein, that's incorrect. It was definitely Sigmund Freud, the world famous psychiatrist. Right. So over to you again,
Correct.
Avron.
Yes, thank you very much. That's correct. Sigmund Freud never met, that's correct. So coming back to the Hebrew Order of David, so we celebrated 110 years of the Dr. Herzl Lodge, and we had a great function for all our brethren. In fact, we brought a lot of our brethren who we hadn't seen for a very long time, came to this auspicious occasion that we had last month. We had the Grand President present there, most of the previous Grand Presidents who were there, and it's noteworthy that the Dr. Herzl Lodge produced 13 of the Grand Presidents. Now the Grand Presidents normally sit for 2-year terms, and in fact we've had a lot of blood coming from Dr. Herzl.
Can I just interrupt a minute? There was one president called Harry Friedrich many years ago. Now, do you remember his son Don Les?
And Mark as well.
Mark as well.
Mark and I were in the same class. Mark's daughter actually spent shuttles with us a few weeks ago, and Mark and I still have a very close connection.
Where does Mark live?
He's in Sydney. He's a barrister now.
Australia, yeah.
And I see Don as well. His parents live in Antonio.
Mark was very close with Ralph Ganendi.
That's right.
They were very close as well.
Ralph was the chief
All
rabbi
went to
in-
Yeshiva College.
And Ralph became the chief rabbi in New Zealand, and now he's moved to Sydney. To Melbourne.
Now he's in Melbourne now. He's
yeah,
head of the
Melbourne.
school there, Mount Scopus. Yeah. Right.
Oh, it's a small world.
It's a very small world. And of the HOD, you see, you've got so many, as you say, Dallas. They're all over the world, and that's why you get that kesha, that get together.
Correct. I think the unique thing about Dallas is that none of the members, especially the president and the top management there, were ex-HOD members in South Africa. So what we found, for instance, in Atlanta, we got Alan Rubenstein, who was a very staunch, he was a very active member in the Lodge Negev over here. He went across and started Atlanta, the Lodge Carmel in 1999. And so he spurred it on with ex-HOD guys there. Whereas in Dallas, it really was due to a guy by the name of David Joss, also very much involved in North American Governing Lodge, and his relation with Martin Burke in Dallas encouraged him so well to establish this lodge, showing that in fact it's not so much just making out checks to charities to give the tzedakah, it's the ability to get involved with the community and actually give of oneself, the need of chasadim, and that's what spurred him on. And in fact, we initiated 60 new brethren, 60. It was just incredible. I've never seen so many new brethren joining. It's taken off like wildfire.
I just want to say, are you going to put out a publication about the 110 years of the HOD? I think they should.
Yes, I think the intention is to update the book that we had, the first 100 years, that was published 10 years
10
ago.
years ago, I've got a
And
copy of
I
that.
think the intention would be to update that.
Yes, now I want to mention, you know, the Union of Orthodox Synagogues, they occupy most of the premises of the HOD. When they took over, but before that, the HOD had a most magnificent museum. I don't know if you recall this.
Yes, I do.
You know where that small banqueting hall is opposite there. And of course, then when they took over, and then Gary Friedman took over the big hall, where has all that material gone to? Where is it being stored, or?
Yes, we've got all that memorabilia, we've still got it all stored at the premises, and the intention really is just to upgrade our boardroom. We've got a boardroom, and ultimately then is to really establish a small museum there that really will reflect on the 110 years, all the different lodges in South Africa. I believe HOD at its height had 40 lodges throughout the country.
That's what I was going to
Wherever
say.
you went to any dorp in the country, there was an HOD,
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
And the late Harry Kloss, he was responsible for that magnificent museum. Now I want to suggest that if you do have a function, then you should have all that memorabilia put out, displayed, even if for a night or two. Keep it going for a week. Let people come in and open and see it, because some of that stuff is absolutely magnificent. Absolutely
Yes,
magnificent.
it definitely is. It goes back years. In fact, it's paralleled with world history, Jewish history.
Yes, correct.
It's got articles going back to the establishment of the State of Israel, and then all the lodges were named after previous presidents of Israel, Chaim Weizmann, David Ben Gurion. So in fact, we have pictures of them, and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, we actually got a letter from David Ben Gurion. He was honoured to be named after a Lodge Weitzman, and it's just as
It
incredible.
was Lodge Negev, Lodge Eilat, etc. Now I just want to also mention that there's a lot of silverware in that museum. I don't know if you recall that museum, which is very, very, very valuable. So, but they should put it out and let people see what actually happened in those days.
Yes, the intention is to get that back up and running, and at the same time also to relaunch our website.
Right.
So we're now going to have a truly global website. You can look from anywhere in the world. If you want to know where a meeting is happening, if you're coming from, say, Johannesburg, you're a member of the HOD, you want to go attend a meeting, say, in Dallas, you'll know exactly when
I'm
it's
just going to say
happening.
something now, a little bit controversial, but you know, just as an aside, the Safari Shul, they rent the premises, they have their shul there, the Johannesburg Safari Shul, and that when you come outside the Safari Shul, the entrance to the shul has got Ulam Theodor Herzl. Isn't it ironic? Because Theodor Herzl was never religious. He was completely anti-religious. And yet they've got a shul, and outside you've got Ulam Theodor Herzl. I don't know if you ever seen
Yes, yes, yes.
this. You should
I
go
know,
there.
I've seen it. I've done it in that show.
Yeah, and you've got that there.
Yes.
As I said, Herzl was never ever.
Yes, it's quite amazing, because that's where the Dr. Herzl Lodge, that was their temple, because
Yes,
the
that was
area
there.
where we actually have our meetings is called the temple, and invariably that is where they had the meetings back then. We had 150, 200 members.
Yes,
So it was full to capacity.
I know, that's where they did all their, what you call the initiation or whatever it was, where new brethren were installed or something like
Yes.
that.
So when we actually leased it to the Safari congregation, we insisted, and one of the conditions is that we would still maintain the Ulam. Dr.
Ulam,
Herzl.
yes. But I think they should actually move that Ulam Theodor Herzl and put it on the outside. What's the difference? I mean, it's just ironic you've got a shul where a person was never ever involved in Yiddishkeit, and you've got a complete opposite. You know, the European was all Ashkenazi, and here is the Safari community. But that's an aside. We're taking a break, and we're coming back in a few moments.
So there's a lot happening, Isaac, in Jerusalem. Sorry? You mentioned a lot's happening in Jerusalem, actually.
You know, I as you talk, and you mention it, and then I ask questions.
You know, Isaac, you must mention, because it's a nice name. Dave Wax.
Yes, Dave Wax, he was the secretary, the grand secretary.
For many, many years.
His wife just died about a few months ago. She was in her 90s.
Dave, he lived in the premises.
Yes, I know, Dave Wax, where your offices are now. That was
That's
the
where he
house.
lived, yeah.
That's where he lived. Shirley's been there for 40 years.
Yeah, that's right. It's all the furniture.
But I just want to mention two very important yahrzeit dates, and then because I want to elaborate on one of them.
It's a play another ad. It's a play another
Yeah,
ad.
play another ad. Then we'll come back.
He met in the middle of his own collision. No one takes best, no one friends. When I draw my curtains in the morning, he's there.
Dave was Mr. HOD.
Sorry?
He's called Dave Mr. HOD.
Yeah.
He wants to call us and say it's
I
not
can
right.
picture all of the presidents, I can tell you, from Larry Distiller, and you've got what's his name,
For my birthday,
he's now living in Cape Town, Con Travis, and we've got Bernard Schull, and I mean I can go and tell you, Joffrey, yes.
he wants to make me
Travis was on Ultimate Congress.
sure. Do you think if I'd been driving to the stadium for years, that must be accident?
9 seconds.
We'll never would have been. No accident.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're up.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town, your host Isaac Resnick, with my special guests, there's Glassman and Avron Krasner. We were talking HOD. We'll continue in a few moments, but I just want to mention two very important yahrzeit dates. Today is Rosh Chodesh Tevet. In 2 days' time, we'll have the yahrzeit of Rebbe Chaim Leib Shmulevitz. He was born in 1902, died in 1979. Now, why I tell you it's very important, he was the Rosh Yeshiva of Mir, and before the Second World War, when Nazis, the Marxist War, invaded Europe. They moved first to Japan. They went to Kobe, and then they went to Shanghai, and he established the yeshiva in Shanghai, and then he went to Jerusalem. And of course, many Jews were saved when they went to Shanghai. I can mention a famous Chazan who went to Shanghai. His life was saved. Then afterwards he came to America, became a Chazan in Mexico. Came to South Africa, was the Chazan at Oxford Shul. Then went to Claremont area, went to Toronto, Canada, and passed away. And then the other important Yortzeit date, there's one more here, is Rabbi Yeshua Isaac Shapiro, the Rav of Slonim. Now I told the story about a few weeks ago about what happened when the Tsar was coming into the yeshiva. And you know, it's customary in these countries and even in South Africa today to go to any government office or anywhere, you see a picture of the president hanging on the wall, or in a post office, wherever it is. But they made it compulsory to have the picture of the Tsar hanging in the shul. But they would never, the yeshiva would never have the picture facing, they would turn it the other way around. And they got wind, they were told that the Tsar's passing through, and he's going to visit the community in Slonim. And the rabbi, was alert. And what happened was that they came through to the yeshiva, to the shul, and they stopped, and they walked in, and they saw the picture facing, turned the other way around. They immediately called the Boyim, or whoever it was, and said, why are you turning out the picture of our Tsar the other way around? You're supposed to have it in front of you. And the rabbi was very sharp, and he turned down and said, because it is better to see the person alive than to look at the picture on the wall. And that's what saved that community. That's the rabbi of Slonim. I just want to mention one other Yortzeit, which will be next Thursday. It's a public holiday, and it's going to be the Yortzeit of the late Chief Rabbi Bernard Casper. He died on the 10th of Tavis. It will be 26 years since he was Mufta. He died in Jerusalem. He was giving a shiur on a Motzei Shabbos in the Yeshurim Shul in Jerusalem. He had a heart attack and died. So, but I'll be talking more about that next week, and I'll be speaking to his daughter Bacha as well. So don't forget to stay tuned next week, and because on this Friday morning on my Reflections of the Past, I'm going to tell what happened in Johannesburg in the past during this period. So back to you, Les, and to Evan.
So I just want to mention, when it comes to Ben Gurion Airport, there's a sign, and I'll just show it to you all. I once came to collect my daughter, and I saw the sign there, and I was struck. I couldn't believe what I see. So if you look a little closer, Steve, there, what stands out in that sign?
Is the boys carrying a Sefer Torah?
And what's on the Sefer Torah? There's an emblem on the Sefer Torah.
HOD.
There's an emblem of the HOD, so whenever it goes to Ben Gurion and you're waiting for your guests and visitors to come through the arrival hall, you'll see a beautiful picture of a boy holding the Sefer Torah, and on the Sefer Torah is the emblem of the HOD. And basically, this is what the HOD is. We're all one people, and we're all united. And especially in Jerusalem, the Lishkat Yer David, everyone mentioned that there's going to be a website. There already is a Facebook. You put the Lishkat Yer David. Anyone can go into it, and you're going to download this program. And also the program we did was last year where we had Someone Fine. When we had that program on HOD as well, that you can also find on the Facebook. It's HOD, Lishkat Yer David. You're all welcome to become friends and see exactly what's happening on in Yerushalayim. Just to mention, our Yerushalayim branch, we've done quite remarkable things. You mentioned one of the founders, distiller, so his grandson is a very close friend of mine, and so a lot of people can know. Malcolm Bank, Murray Bank from East London. So he did an incredible thing. When they had the Twin Towers, the disaster that happened in New York, they tried to look at something positive from that event. And he went to Moshe Sternberg, who used to be a reference beginner in his community. And they heard all stories also about miracles that happened in the Twin Towers. And he brought out this book together with Seb Breyer, as a member of the District Valley HOD. It's called Even in the Darkest Moments. And inside the book, it's actually one of the HOD, one of the things that the District David decided to do and to promote. And we salute Sola. They were instrumental in saving lives in New York. They saved lives all around the world. All the proceeds from this book go towards Hatsola. So it's not only is it the HOD an organization which is based on charity and covership and friendship, but it also collects funds to save people's lives. And here's a little Tefillah Taderek with the HOD International England. So Isaac, we'd like to donate this to you for the tremendous work that you do.
Thank you.
And Steve, this is just a little Tefillah Taderek of HOD, so you can always remember and you can join and you can be proud of what we have here and what we've actually produced internationally. One of the other wonderful things that the HOD in Yerushalayim does is that we associated, and I think we spoke about it, with the Chamber of the Shoah. It's a museum to the Holocaust. This is in Jerusalem. I think you donated to a friend very important documents which will be framed and will be placed in the, it's just having a refurbish at the moment, but this is in the old city. It's opposite the Kibbutz of David by the Glassman Yeshiva. This is just the HOD instrumental. We've donated a library there, and we have events that we have in the Matafa Shoah as well.
Can I just ask Avron, you know, it's the holiday season now. Do the HSD still go out and help those organizations where the Gentiles want to have a day off, you know, for their holiday? I know they used to go out to hospitals and they used to help distribute food years ago. I'm not sure if it's been done.
Unfortunately, our numbers have whittled down over time. We don't necessarily have the manpower for that, so we don't do it at the moment. What we do though is in the Jewish community is when we have Mother's Day, we distribute pot plants at Sanding Gardens and our parents' home and give it to all the ladies who do pot plants.
Because I know tomorrow Chai FM staff members are going out to the hospital and they're going to give out sweets and chocolates or whatever it is to all the children there, the patients in the various hospitals. And I know HOD used to do that. I think B'nai Brit still may be doing that. I'm not sure.
It's definitely something we would like to look at and actually get involved, and maybe we can partner with Firefly going forward. I mean, it's a great initiative.
It's to give the Gentiles a day off so that they can also enjoy their holiday with their family. Now the other thing is, can we just start and go back now to HOD Johannesburg? The late Dave Wax, who was the Grand Secretary for years and years and years. And I'm sure many of you can recall him. His wife passed away a few months ago, in the 90s. I know the son is still alive, Gideon. He's at Turning Gardens there.
And their daughter.
Their daughter as well, yes. So, Dave Wax was a household name. And now I just want to mention here, Avron, if you do have your 110th anniversary, I'm going to put out a call now to all our listeners there. If you've got anything of the HOD that you want to donate, memorabilia, like books or Hanukkahs or whatever it is they use, what do they call these things? The insignia or whatever it is, and it's lying in a cupboard there somewhere. Don't keep it. Get in touch with the HOD, hand it over to them, because as I've always said, these things are so vital, so important. They have history behind them. And like Les just mentioned, I gave him some documents about someone whose grandparents came from Germany, and the exit permit, the Marxism law, was stamped by the Nazis. But he managed to get to South Africa. And it was lying in his cupboard. He didn't know what it was about. It was in absolute crisp mint condition. There's no price you can put on it. And that's what's important. You may have something, an old photograph, or anything like that. And as I mentioned, there was the late Harry Klaas who really developed that museum, and he went out of his way to try and get things. Because, for example, I'm sure Harry Fleetwood was living in Israel. He may have material that.
So Isaac, I'll mention, I went about 2 years ago, I was at the Witso, I just popped into the Witso, they have a charity shop, and I saw amongst all the pictures, there was a frame, a beautiful frame with a certificate of HOD, going back more than 70 years.
Right.
So I paid whatever it was, it goes to a good cause anyway, and I was only too happy to get it, and I gave it to Murray Bank. And he has a connection, somebody from his family was actually in that certificate.
Yeah,
So it has deep significance, and you're right, you need memorabilia all over, and it's very valuable because it's part of our
history. It's
part of our history.
Correct, correct. In fact, now when I went to Dallas, the vice president coming in, he brought out a certificate from 1933 that his late father-in-law had, and he had kept it all these years, not understanding where does this fit in, and who would have thought that he actually get involved in HOD because he wasn't a member here in South Africa. So it's quite amazing.
I found a certificate, a golden book certificate, which was issued to a member of the HOD for certain work he'd done, and the person whose name it was in had passed away. Nobody knew about it. I saw it, I immediately recognized. I got in hold of the grandson. The son had also left the country or passed away, I'm not sure. Showed it to him, he was absolutely ecstatic. Here was a golden book and a certificate in memory of his late grandfather because of the HOD. See, it's so important.
That's right, that's right. I think all South African Jews have got some connection to the HOD.
And irrespective if it's HOD or not.
Yeah.
If you've got old material, bring it in, contact me, contact the archives of the Board of Deputies, because this is history. And you know, as you mentioned, there were 40 different lodges of HOD in South Africa. And a lot of those lodges were in the country communities. And a lot of the country communities, the shuls were sold, and all the meetings took place in the shul halls or the shul, wherever it was. And there must be that material lying around. There's somewhere has got it. I can name you 3 shuls now that have just been closed, and they must bring that material in. It's valuable. I got a parcel the other day from a women's organization, the Federation of Synagogue Guild, is now disbanded. But I got it from one of the country branches. Photographs is unbelievable, and I'm busy putting them into my archives and sorting them out. And had this person not thought about it, would have gone into the bin somewhere and thrown away, and none of it would all be lost. Unbelievable.
Amazing. I think it's great to see we've got so much heritage left with HOD and South African Jewry as a whole, which is great. It's great that we can preserve it. I think that's the challenge.
And I'm sure many HOD brethren were presented with certificates which are hanging on the walls in homes somewhere, or in a cupboard there, something like that. I mean, I know the late Chief Rabbi Harris was a member of the HOD.
He was a member.
Correct.
I attended his meetings.
Correct.
I remember him speaking at our meetings.
Correct, he was a member of the Dr. Hitzel.
You are right. And if you go to Mrs. Harris now moved from Romanus to Cape Town, to the sequel, but in his library, in his study, he had a beautiful certificate there that was hanging, and I don't know where that is today, maybe still hanging there. And I mean, that's also part of history.
That's right.
So this, I'll just show you, this is a page taken from one of the HOD bulletins
Yes.
of Chief Rabbi Harris.
Yes.
We spoke a lot about Derek Harris and
Yes.
Abat Yisrael. This came from one of the HOD journals.
Yes, I know because I was very involved with Rabbi Harris. I was the secretary for many,
Isaac,
many years.
what you mentioned, people can actually bring it into the HOD offices.
Yes.
We have a secretary, Shirley, and I think
Shirley Levine, who's been there many, many
this
years.
could be a Guinness Book of Records world record to have a secretary 40 consecutive, now could be 41 consecutive years being in the same position. That shows loyalty, and that shows what a type of organization it is that keeps its members, it keeps its workers, and she's very happy being there, and anyone can drop
The
it off
most
at offices.
efficient secretary, and who knows the history of the HOD.
That's in the HOD complex.
But now I'm going to put out a question, and now I'm going to mention something to her. Both Avron and Les will not remember. The HOD, when they originally were in De Villiers Street in Johannesburg, over the road station, right down the bottom there, past Rissik Street, even further than that. I'm sure you don't remember that. There was a hall there, it was the HOD hall in Villiers Street. I remember because I had my bar mitzvah there. That's where everybody had their bar mitzvah. And of course they had that famous band player who played there all the time.
I think I have a picture. I'll bring it in next week when we speak about stamps. My late father, Boris, they used to have these very philatelic, even before, and I think they had it in that hall.
And do you know
and
that?
I've got a picture of the members that attended some of those meetings that I'll bring in next week. And I think it's definitely in that hall that he's speaking about.
The first Sephardi Hebrew congregation in Johannesburg was held at the HOD premises in the Villiers Street. And over the road, there was a very famous pharmacy. And I'll mention the name of the pharmacy because it's not the owner, it's his brother who became very famous. It's called Berry's Pharmacy. Now, I'm sure many of you remember the famous cartoonist called Abe Berry. That was his brother owner. That was right across the road from the HOD. It was corner Plain Street and or De Villiers, and I can't remember this. I think it was just off Russell Street there, but it was opposite the station. And then of course they moved and they bought the premises here in Orchards many years ago. And for another time I'll tell the story about the Sephardi and the HOD, what happened on one young people there. But that's for another program. So we're going to take a break and we're back in a few minutes.
Yes, I love you looking in South Africa.
Sorry?
Isaac is amazing. Eh? How can you remember all the things?
HOD.
Why do you not remember?
Maybe it's never too late. It's never too late.
I won't put out something. I'll probably on the outside looking in.
Yeah, sure.
Well, let's
Just enjoy it. Sorry? You should also. I'll talk to Alan.
It's a lovely thing.
Maybe I'm going to read something else. And do you remember, do you know where the HOD was based on the Freemasons? Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Remember where their head office was?
Scotland.
What? In Scotland, yeah, but in Johannesburg. If you go down the bottom of Louis Botha Avenue, as it goes to come to Empire Road, you'll see a building with all those pillars, colonnades.
Yes, right.
That was the original.
What is it today?
I don't know what's happened. That was original Freemasons. But I got another interesting one here now. The Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes, Grand Lodge of the Transvaal, from Cynthia Flax. Anyone remember? Yes, I know. A Druid, D-R-U-I-D-S. And then they changed it to the Hebrew Order of David because it was based on the Freemasons. Yeah, I think I'll put out a question. We've got 8 minutes. See, it doesn't matter if it's HOD, it's history of South Africa. And in every dorp you had an HOD lodge.
That's right. It was in Rhodesia.
Every dorp had one. It was a cover shop.
It's got air.
Yeah, but it.
IFM.com. Do you want me to accept it? IFM.com.
Welcome back, 8 minutes to 7. We're talking HOD. I just got another SMS. Anyone remember the Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes, Grand Lodge of Transvaal? This comes from Cynthia Flack. Now I'm just talking to Avron and to Les, and I mentioned, who can remember the original name before it became the Hebrew Order of David? If you do know, SMS 34519. And I've just read out here, Royal Antediluvian. I'm going to put out the question, what does the word antediluvian mean? What does the word antediluvian mean? If you do know, SMS 34519. Steve, do you know? Antediluvian.
Something behind.
Well, I'll elaborate just now. If you do know, sometimes you go to an office and you see a person working there, they've been there for years, and I always say, well, that person's antediluvian. So if you do know what that means, SMS 34519. And what was the Hebrew Order of David called before they added in the word David? They changed the word to David. SMS 34519. And as I just talking to Les and Avron, irrespective if you were a member of the Hebrew Order of the Days or not, it's history. The whole of South African Jewish history is tied up. In every dorp there was an HOD because the women had their Union of Jewish Women branches, or you belonged to WITSO, or there was the Zionist organizations, and for the men to be occupied, well, they started this Havashavta organization. Don't remember we had a lot of landslide societies, and they fell away. Like you remember there was the Kadana, and there was the Kovna Society, and there was one from Pornovas, etc. And this is endless. So, but then the HOD not took over, the HOD became the most important because they went all over the country. Now I'll elaborate on the word antediluvian. It means before the flood. Antediluvian means before the flood. Now, we've got 6 minutes, or 4 minutes left. Who can tell me what was the HOD called before they changed it to the Hebrew Order of David? SMS 34519. Avron, right, the antediluvian period meaning before the deluge is the period referred to in the Bible to the fall of man and the deluge. Well, I've got that, I already mentioned it, Cynthia, I've already mentioned it. Now, is there anything else you want to conclude with, Avron, and then over to you, Les, as well?
Yes, thank you, Isaac, again for hosting me. I think for us going forward, what's important is we, in the process of establishing a young person's lodge, so specifically looking at the set from 25 to 40 years, we believe that is where we'd like to have it. We'd like to have one in Johannesburg and one in Cape Town. We would like passionate individual Jewish males who really want to make a difference in the community, do community work, have a Chavashaft, and really be part of the international network. We as I mentioned, four continents in the world. We're in Israel, we're in London, we're in the United States, we're in Canada. It's just something amazing that if you would want to go across to any of these countries, you'll be able to link up immediately. It's an amazing organization, giving back to the community, and also having something that you can really say is yours. So I believe if anybody's interested, they can contact me at the HOD offices, and I believe it will be something very special. We believe that's the future. We need to really go from there from strength, because at the moment we really we need new blood, we need young people, and I think really it's got such a proud history as we just recalled in the last hour, and I believe we need to carry that forward. We've got a centre, HOD centre in Orchards. It's really a great base. We've got the resources, and I urge any members or people or anybody who's interested to either join existing lodges here in Johannesburg, but the young lodge is really where we want to focus going forward, and that's our passion and my project going forward. And thanks once again.
Pleasure. Les, over to you.
I'd like to echo what everyone said, and I'd like to thank both Isaac for hosting us and Steve for doing the controls as brilliantly as he always do. And just to mention, those, whoever comes to Israel, just know you're welcome. We have an annual get-together between the two lodges, the Meledek and the Shkatlik Aviv. But even visitors coming to Israel, we have in all parts of Israel members also of HOD. You'll be very welcome, not only at the Rival Hall with the HOD emblem, but to meet other members, other South Africans and Rhodesians and Zimbabweans. It would be wonderful to see you, and we'd encourage everybody to get involved and just to remember your heritage. And Isaac said, if you've got any memorabilia, let that history, it's alive. It's not a dead history, it's a live history, it's a rich history. So we just encourage everybody to be part of it. And once again, thank you so much for hosting us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you to you all, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Les. Thank you, everyone. I'll just mention now, before it became the Hebrew Order of David, it was the Hebrew Order of Druids. Druids. It was based on the Freemason Lodge. And I just asked, I just got an SMS now from someone, Hebrew Order of Druids. And I just mentioned to them, how many of you can remember where the Freemasons had their headquarters? Well, if you go down Louis Botha Avenue, just before it comes to Empire Road, there is a building with these beautiful white colonnades, and that's where the original Free Masons had their temple or head office, wherever it was. So that all remains for me is to wish you Chanukah Sameach, tonight the last candle. Thanks Steve for controlling. Remember, if you're going away, it's a long weekend. Drive carefully, arrive alive. Don't drink and drive, and don't drive and drink. I'll be alive on the show Friday morning, Reflections of the Past, although it is a public holiday. That's between 9 and 10. And then also we've got, yesterday I said here, Clarendon Circle. I mentioned the Empire Road comes there, the Druids. And also, by the way, Clarendon Circle doesn't exist anymore. I wonder how many can remember Clarendon Circle there. And then also, Sunday we've got the Art of the Cantor. And if you listen, last Sunday I played those two magnificent new CDs, which I think is. That was the one of the two Yitzhak, Isaac Stern, and Yitzhak Meyer Helfgott. And the other one was 100 Chazoni singing Kolabar. Have a wonderful evening. It's been a pleasure being in your company. Enjoy the rest of the week and enjoy summer. Now this is available not tomorrow, you'll get on Monday on podcast.
Right.
Steve, thanks so much.
It'll be called HOD.
Great.
Right, and because Tabo is on leave,
Right.
the chap who does it for me, or for us, for the studio, and he's only coming back Monday.
Okay.
So you'll get it. But whoever wanted to could have heard it tonight on live on the audio stream.
Amazing, amazing. Well done. It's a fantastic show.
It's wonderful. Isaac, thank you so much.
Okay, Steve.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Steve.